There comes a time in every girl's life when the world tries to tell her what she should want. They tell her she should crave attention, validation, and affection. They tell her that her worth depends on how many boys like her, how many messages she receives, or how beautiful she looks in someone else's eyes. But a girl with zero interest in boys, that's a girl with her eyes wide open, focused on something much greater than approval. A girl with zero interest in boys is not heartless. She's just heart smart. She has chosen herself. She has chosen her goals, her peace, and her purpose over meaningless distractions. She understands that her energy is her currency, and she's done wasting it on people who don't invest in her growth. Her silence is strength. Her focus is power. Her dreams are not built around who she dates. They're built around who she becomes. This girl doesn't chase attention because she's too busy chasing excellence. While others spend their nights overanalyzing texts, she spends hers learning, building, and growing. While others worry about who they're with, she worries about where she's headed. And when she walks into a room, she doesn't need to impress anyone. Her energy speaks louder than her appearance ever could. The truth is, she's not against love. She just refuses to lose herself in the name of it. She knows that real love starts with self-respect. Real beauty starts with purpose. And real power begins when you stop needing to be chosen and start choosing yourself. Kino in self-value over validation. You were not born to seek approval. You were born to live with intention. Every time you ignore distractions, you tell the world that your value isn't up for debate. You don't need someone to tell you you're beautiful to feel it. You don't need someone to choose you to know you're worthy. There's a kind of strength that doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It shows itself quietly, through self-control, through decisions that others can't understand, and through a kind of peace that doesn't depend on who's paying attention. The girl who chooses self-value over validation has found a secret most people never discover. She no longer needs the world's applause to feel complete. She knows who she is when no one's watching. From an early age, society trains girls to be noticed. Compliments become a kind of currency. The more you get, the more valuable you feel. But what happens when you stop chasing those compliments? When you realize that every message, every pair of eyes looking your way can disappear tomorrow, yet your self-worth remains. That's when the transformation begins. The girl with zero interest in boys isn't rejecting love. She's redefining it. She's no longer looking for someone to fill a void. She's learning how to fill it herself with purpose, with growth, and with goals that light her soul on fire. She understands that validation is addictive. The more you seek it, the less satisfied you become. So she cuts it off at the root. She no longer asks, "Am I enough?" Because she has already answered that question for herself. She doesn't post to impress. She posts to express. She doesn't dress to attract. She dresses to feel powerful. Every move she makes is for her, not for approval. And when people notice her strength, that's just a side effect, not the mission. This kind of self-assurance doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily practice. Every time she chooses to work on her dreams instead of replying to a meaningless message, she's building her self-worth brick by brick. Every time she says no to something that doesn't align with her values, she's teaching herself that her peace matters more than popularity. She's not waiting for someone to see her worth. She's living it, breathing it, and walking in it every single day. She knows her value isn't determined by compliments or comparisons. It's determined by her consistency, her courage, and her capacity to keep going when no one believes in her yet. When people doubt her choices, she doesn't explain herself because her life speaks louder than her defense. While others wonder why she's distant, she's simply being deliberate. Her silence isn't emptiness, it's elevation. There's a power in knowing that you don't need to be seen to be significant. You don't need to be desired to be deserving. You don't need to be in love to be valuable. This girl embodies that truth. She's confident without an audience, proud without validation, and content without attention. That's the kind of confidence that never fades. She walks into every room not asking, will they like me? But rather, do I like myself here? And if the answer is no, she leaves because she no longer sacrifices her comfort for connection. She's done with pretending, with shrinking, with pleasing people who never earned her energy. That's what it means to have self-value over validation, to move through the world with quiet certainty that your worth is non-negotiable. And the world notices that, because when a girl stops needing validation, she becomes magnetic, her energy changes, people start wondering what she has that they don't. The truth is, she simply stopped chasing what was never meant to fulfill her. She found peace in solitude, power in discipline, and beauty in independence. She doesn't need to announce her worth. She loves it. Every choice she makes whispers it. Then comes focus, the invisible crown that turns ordinary girls into unstoppable women. Focus is the ability to look past the noise, past the temporary thrills, and see the bigger picture. It's what keeps her moving when others get distracted. A girl with zero interest in boys doesn't lack emotion. She just understands timing. She knows this is her season to grow, to learn, to build, not to settle. While others chase moments, she's chasing mastery. Focus is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. She knows that distractions don't always look dangerous. Sometimes they come disguised as comfort, affection, or attention. That's why she guards her time like treasure. Every moment she gives away must serve her purpose, not just her feelings. While her peers get caught in temporary drama, she's building something permanent. A future that rewards her discipline. She's learned that focus isn't about working nonstop. It's about knowing what truly matters. It's saying no to 1,000 little things so you can say Wes to your big vision. It's choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. And she's mastered that choice. Every morning she wakes up and recommits to her vision. She reminds herself why she started. And every night she rests knowing she didn't let distractions steal her direction. When you watch her, you can tell she's driven by something deeper. She has goals that excite her, habits that build her, and standards that protect her. That's why she's calm. That's why she's confident. That's why she's rare. She's not competing for attention. She's competing with her past self. Her only mission: improvement. Every day, just a little bit better. Every decision, just a little bit wiser. Focus isn't just about discipline, it's about desire. The desire to become who you were meant to be. This girl doesn't envy anyone because she's too busy becoming her best version. She understands that comparison kills concentration. So she minds her business, stays in her lane, and keeps building. When people try to distract her with noise, she smiles. Because she's tuned into a higher frequency. People often mistake her calmness for coldness. But she's not detached, she's directed. She's learned that emotions can mislead, but vision never lies. When she feels lonely, she doesn't go looking for company, she goes looking for purpose. When she feels tired, she doesn't give up. She rests and recalibrates. She's not avoiding love, she's cultivating strength, because she knows that one day the right person won't distract her from her purpose. They'll align with it. But until then, she's not waiting. She's working. Focus gives her something that attention never could: inner peace. When your life has direction, you stop needing validation. When your goals are clear, your heart stops chasing chaos. She knows that not every message deserves a reply. Not every compliment deserves energy. And not every attraction deserves action. Some things are simply not worth losing focus over. She looks at her reflection and knows her future self is counting on her discipline today. That's what keeps her strong when temptations arise. That's what makes her say no when everyone else says yes. Because she's not living for now, she's living for what's next. Her mind is on her mission, and her mission requires clarity. When she studies, she doesn't think of who's noticing. When she works out, she doesn't think of who's watching. When she wins, she doesn't think of who's jealous. Everything she does is between her and her destiny. That's focus. That's freedom. She's aware that people may not understand her choices. Some may call her distant. Some may call her proud, but she knows she's neither. She's simply protecting her energy. You can't build an empire when you're constantly distracted by every passing emotion. You can't find peace when you're addicted to attention. She's learned that the most powerful thing a woman can do is protect her focus and direct it toward her growth. Her focus becomes her filter. She doesn't allow negativity to enter her mind because she knows thoughts create reality. She feeds her mind with knowledge, her body with strength, and her soul with gratitude. That's why she's always improving. Her life becomes a reflection of her priorities. The world respects a woman who knows what she wants, but it bows to the one who won't settle for less. She's not waiting for the right boy. She's becoming the right woman, because she knows that the kind of love she deserves won't distract her. It will meet her at her level. Until then, her focus remains unshaken. She's rewriting the definition of feminine strength, not through rebellion, but through refinement. Not through loudness, but through alignment. Every day she proves that the most attractive quality a girl can have is not her beauty, but her direction. Her self-value is her foundation. Her focus is her superpower. And together, they make her unstoppable. Discipline is a language that only a few people understand. The language of those who are building something greater than their emotions. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, and it's not easy, but it's powerful. A girl with zero interest in boys understands this power. She knows that discipline is not a punishment, it's a form of deep self-love. It's the decision to choose her future over her feelings, her progress over her impulses, and her purpose over her distractions. Every time she wakes up early to study, to train, or to plan her next move, she's making a silent declaration to the universe. I am serious about my life. She doesn't wait for motivation. She creates it. She doesn't depend on others to keep her accountable. She's her own standard. She knows that if she wants to live differently, she has to think differently. And that means doing the hard things when no one's watching. People often misunderstand her distance. They call her cold, focused only on herself. But the truth is, she's committed. She's not ignoring people. She's ignoring distractions. She's not isolating herself. She's investing in herself. Because she knows that greatness doesn't grow in noise. It grows in silence, in consistency, in small repeated efforts that no one sees, but everyone eventually feels. Discipline has taught her that not every urge deserves attention. Feelings are temporary, results are permanent. She doesn't let her emotions decide her direction. She feels deeply but acts wisely. She knows that every time she resists a distraction, she's building self-respect. Every time she chooses the harder path, she's building mental muscle. And every time she stays consistent when others quit, she's separating herself from the ordinary. She understands that love is not supposed to interrupt growth. It should enhance it. So until she meets someone who matches her energy, her discipline remains her devotion. She's not waiting for a boy to make her feel special. She's busy becoming extraordinary on her own. Her focus isn't on attention, it's on achievement. Because when you're disciplined, you don't need validation. Your progress validates you. Her life is structured with intention. She plans her days not because she's rigid, but because she respects her time. She knows that time wasted is potential lost, while others spend hours chasing approval. She's building skills that will one day pay her bills and buy her freedom. She's not sacrificing her youth. She's investing it. Every choice she makes now is shaping the woman she's becoming. There are moments when discipline feels lonely. Nights when everyone else is out having fun, and she's home working towards something that only she can see. But she doesn't complain. She knows this season is temporary. The parties, the trends, the gossip, they'll fade. But her foundation will last forever. She reminds herself that diamonds form under pressure and stars shine in darkness. She's buff. Sometimes she questions herself. Am I missing out? But then she remembers she's not missing out on anything that aligns with her destiny. What's meant for her will never require her to abandon her growth. She's not here to prove herself. She's here to improve herself. Every day, every choice, every challenge. It's all part of the masterpiece she's building with patience and perseverance. Her discipline becomes her strength. It keeps her calm when life gets chaotic. It keeps her grounded when emotions try to pull her off track. It reminds her that success is not built in bursts of excitement, but in moments of quiet consistency. And she's willing to stay consistent even when it's hard, because she knows the reward is worth it. The more she practices self-discipline, the more she realizes it's not about restriction. It's about freedom. Freedom from dependence, from comparison, from emotional chaos. She's not controlled by moods anymore. She doesn't need to chase pleasure to feel alive. Her sense of fulfillment comes from progress, from knowing she's becoming better each day. People who once distracted her now inspire her, not because of who they are, but because they remind her of what she refuses to go back to. She's learned to outgrow old versions of herself without guilt. That's discipline too, the ability to move on from things that no longer serve your evolution. She's no longer chasing excitement, she's chasing excellence. And that excellence begins with purpose. A girl with zero interest in boys is not uninterested in love. She's just captivated by her mission. She's discovered something more thrilling than attention, a sense of purpose that wakes her up in the morning and keeps her focused through the storms. Purpose has become her fuel, her direction, her compass. While others are trying to be liked, she's trying to be legendary. Purpose over popularity, that's her philosophy. She doesn't care about being the most talked about girl. She cares about being the most transformed version of herself. She knows popularity is temporary, but purpose is eternal. The applause fades, but the impact remains. She's not trying to be seen by many. She's trying to matter to a few, or even to just herself. Every time she chooses her path instead of following the crowd, she's strengthening her identity. She's learning that peace comes when you stop trying to fit in and start focusing on what you were born to do. The world will always have opinions, but she's learned to listen to the quiet voice inside that says, keep going. You're meant for more. Purpose gives her a different kind of glow. It's not the glow that comes from filters or compliments. It's the glow of alignment, the light that shines from within when your actions match your values. She walks differently because she's walking in direction, not in circles. While others move based on trends, she moves based on truth. She doesn't compete with anyone. Her competition is her own potential. Every day she asks herself, did I do my best today? That's her measure of success. Not likes, not followers, not validation, but self-improvement. Her purpose keeps her grounded in a world that's obsessed with attention. It reminds her that not everything that's popular is meaningful, and not everything that's meaningful will be popular. There are times when walking in purpose feels isolating. People misunderstand her ambition. They say she's too serious, too focused, too independent. But she smiles because she knows something they don't. The journey to greatness is never crowded. She's not walking alone because she's lost. She's walking alone because she's early. She's ahead of her time, ahead of her fears, and ahead of the people who still need validation to feel alive. Her purpose protects her from the need to prove herself. When you know where you're going, you stop explaining yourself to those who don't understand your path. She doesn't seek permission anymore. She doesn't wait for support. She creates her own momentum. Purpose turns her pain into direction, her failures into feedback, and her setbacks into setups for something bigger. She's not chasing attention, she's building legacy. She knows that when she stays true to her purpose, the right opportunities will find her. She doesn't need to force connections, she attracts them through authenticity. Her energy speaks for her long before she says a word. While others worry about being liked, she's working on being respected. Not by the world, but by the woman she's becoming. She knows that popularity can make you visible, but purpose makes you valuable. And she chooses value every time, because she's not here to impress, she's here to impact. Purpose gives her peace. It silences the noise. It gives her the courage to keep showing up even when progress is slow. She knows that success isn't a straight line. It's a journey of persistence, patience, and faith. She's not in a rush. She's building something solid, something real, something that will outlast every temporary distraction. And when doubt tries to creep in, she reminds herself why she started. She remembers the girl she used to be, unsure, distracted, dependent on validation. And she smiles because she's no longer her. She's evolved. She's stronger now, wiser now, focused now. Her purpose has become her anchor. No matter how loud the world gets, she's unshakable. She understands that her future depends on her discipline, her direction, and her devotion. So she continues, quietly, consistently, powerfully, becoming the woman she was always meant to be. Not the most followed, not the most admired, but the most fulfilled. Because she finally knows that the real glow up isn't about being desired. It's about being driven. And that's exactly what she is. There's something beautiful about a girl who minds her own growth She doesn't get distracted by gossip, trends, or opinions. She doesn't waste her time comparing, competing, or complaining. Her mind is too valuable to be filled with noise. While others talk about people, she talks about purpose. While others criticize, she creates. While others scroll endlessly, she studies relentlessly. This girl understands that growth isn't accidental. It's intentional. And she's intentional about everything she does. Growth is her secret language. Every morning, she wakes up asking herself, what can I do today to become better than I was yesterday? That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. She's not trying to be perfect. She's trying to be progressing because she knows that every small step counts. Every book read, every skill learned, every positive habit repeated, they all compound into something extraordinary. She's patient with her evolution. She doesn't rush the process, but she doesn't waste it either. She's not chasing validation because she knows that growth is quiet. It doesn't need an audience. It needs consistency. Real improvement happens in silence. In those late nights when she's learning instead of gossiping, in those early mornings when she's planning instead of scrolling, in those moments when she chooses to rise above negativity and focus on her vision. People sometimes label her as distant, but she's not. She's just disciplined. Her attention is precious, and she's careful about where it goes. She knows that what she focuses on grows. So she refuses to feed her mind with drama, envy, or negativity. Instead, she nourishes it with knowledge, creativity, and optimism. She understands that maturity is when you stop being easily entertained and start being deeply inspired. Growth has taught her to stay humble. She knows there's always more to learn, always room to evolve. She doesn't compare her chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. Instead, she uses other people's success as motivation, not competition. She studies those who are ahead, not to copy them, but to understand what discipline and persistence look like in real life. Her growth mindset changes the way she handles failure too. She doesn't see mistakes as signs of weakness. She sees them as lessons. Every setback teaches her something new. Every disappointment shapes her character. Every no redirects her to something better. She's not afraid to fall because she's trained herself to rise stronger every time. She knows that real growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from challenges. She surrounds herself with energy that uplifts her. She values deep conversations, not shallow ones. She seeks wisdom, not gossip. She doesn't crave company for the sake of not being alone. She craves alignment. She wants to be around people who talk about dreams, strategy, healing, purpose. People who help her grow mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Because she's learned that who you spend time with becomes who you are. She also understands that growth isn't only about success. It's about becoming a better human being. She practices gratitude. She treats people kindly, not because they deserve it, but because she does. She doesn't hold grudges because resentment wastes energy she could use for progress. She forgives, she lets go. She moves forward. Experience, good or bad, becomes part of her personal evolution. Growth has also made her selective with her peace. She no longer argues to prove a point. She doesn't explain herself to people committed to misunderstanding her. She doesn't seek closure from chaos. She's learned that silence is often the strongest statement. Her peace is her new standard, and she protects it like a queen guards her crown. And that's where her power truly comes from, her ability to stay calm, centered, and unshakable no matter what happens around her. She has become the kind of woman who can't be broken easily because her foundation isn't built on approval, relationships, or material things. It's built on purpose, on growth, on faith in herself. She doesn't need to prove anything to anyone because she already knows who she is, what she's capable of. When life tests her, and it always does, she doesn't panic. She breathes. She adjusts. She's learned that storms are not meant to destroy her. They're meant to strengthen her. Every challenge is shaping her into someone more resilient, more grounded, more confident. That's what makes her unshakable. Her strength isn't loud or aggressive. It's calm and certain. She doesn't react to everything. She responds with wisdom. She no longer seeks revenge or validation when someone underestimates her. She lets time do the talking. She knows that silence and success are the best responses. Her energy isn't spent proving people wrong. It's invested in proving herself right because she understands that every time she stays focused on her own path, she moves closer to her dreams while others remain stuck in the same cycles. Being unshakable doesn't mean she's emotionless. She feels deeply, but she doesn't let those feelings drive her off course. She can love deeply, lose gracefully, and still rise powerfully. Her strength lies in her ability to stay grounded when everything else tries to pull her away from her peace. When others lose control, she finds her center. When others give up, she gets sharper. Her emotions don't control her, her purpose does. She's learned that not everyone will understand her peace. And that's okay. Some people are addicted to chaos while she's addicted to clarity. Some people chase noise while she chases growth. She's fine being misunderstood if it means being aligned with her truth. She doesn't need to be liked by everyone because she's loved by herself, and that's enough. Her calmness comes from knowing she doesn't need to chase what's meant for her. Opportunities, people, blessings, they flow naturally to those who stay aligned. She no longer forces outcomes. She no longer begs for attention. She knows that what is real will find her, and what isn't will fall away. That's why she walks through life with quiet confidence, not arrogance, but assurance. Her unshakable spirit comes from a simple realization. She's in control of her choices, not of everything that happens. But as long as she keeps her attitude right, she can handle whatever comes her way. Every time she's been hurt, she's used it as fuel. Every time she's been doubted, she's used it as motivation. Every time she's been ignored, she's used it as inspiration. She's no longer afraid of being alone because solitude no longer scares her. It strengthens her. She knows her peace is her power, so she guards it fiercely. She sets boundaries without guilt, says no without explanation, and walks away without drama. She's learned that peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from letting go of what isn't hers to carry. Her life feels lighter now because she no longer fights battles that don't matter. She's learned to trust herself. Truly trust herself. Her instincts, her intuition, her timing. She no longer doubts whether she's good enough. She knows she is. And that self-belief radiates from her like sunlight. People can feel it when she walks into a room. That quiet certainty, that unbreakable energy. It's the energy of someone who knows her worth and refuses to settle for less. She has become the definition of grace under pressure. No matter what chaos surrounds her, she maintains her inner order. No matter who leaves, she remains whole. No matter what fails, she stays faithful to her path because she understands that strength is not about never breaking. It's about learning how to build beautifully every single time. Her growth made her wise. Her peace made her powerful. Together, they made her unstoppable. She doesn't need to prove that she's strong. Her presence says it all. She doesn't need to announce her comeback. Her results will show it. She doesn't need to explain her choices. Her peace is the explanation. She's no longer the girl who seeks love to feel complete. She's the woman who attracts it effortlessly because she radiates stability and purpose. Her life is no longer about chasing. It's about attracting through alignment. She has become magnetic. Not because she's trying to be, but because her energy is pure, grounded and whole. That's the power of growth and inner peace. They turn you into someone the world cannot shake. They make you unstoppable, not because everything goes your way, but because nothing can take you off your way. And this girl, the one who chose growth over gossip, focus over drama, purpose over popularity. She's not just surviving, she's evolving. She's not just existing, she's expanding. She's not just living, she's leading herself toward the life she deserves, one disciplined, peaceful, and unshakable step at a time.